anyone doing
from a galaxy far, far away to the pages of comics and toy aisles we probably spend way too much money in. We're here to tackle the super heroic highs and what in the hell were they thinking lows of pop culture 2024. And joining us on this 2-hour special dual podcast are our co-hosts from the Sarlacc Digest, the Star Wars podcast that's smoother than Lando Calrissian and more unhinged than Yoda after his 5th espresso. I hope with the amount of opinions tonight, somebody brought a thermal detonator. This year's TV and films have been crazier than Joker on a sugar high, and we're here to decide which ones are worthy of yielding Thor's hammer and which ones deserve to be snapped out of existence. We promise to keep it real, no infinity stones to rewind the bad takes, as I know there'll be plenty. It's now time for the Force to meet the multiverse. May the Force be with us all. This is Sarlacc Digest and Pixels, Plastic, and Ink.
That was awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us, guys.
How is everybody doing on this fine Friday evening?
Well, good, I guess, right?
Yeah. The good, the bad. That's what we're here for.
somewhere in between.
This is a hell of a crew right now. I'm looking at us like I'm just wondering if we were on a starship, who would do different roles. Maybe that's a cast for another time.
Well, as the only bald guy here, I'm feeling very isolated. Like,
I know. I feel like
better?
I'm
Is that
amongst my
better?
own people.
thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
this is there you
Front
go.
and center.
There you go.
Yeah.
Front center.
It's usually the opposite for us, right?
Yeah.
I'm the only one with hair.
Yeah,
So,
the only one. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we got obviously we just introduced. This is the dual cast special edition year-end special. We're going to get into the thick of things of all the TV and worst TV, best films, TV, all that good stuff. And then after this, we're going to hop over to the Sarlacc Digest and we're going to do another hour to talk about all good things of 2024 and bad things. And also, we have a special guest making his podcast debut. It is Meeks. Welcome, Meeks.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What's up?
Happy to be here.
Welcome
Happy to
in.
be here.
Welcome in.
Meeks, welcome on in. A man behind the scenes working on different types of podcasts and stuff, and a man of many talents, but one that includes video games. So maybe we do a feature on video games later. But gentlemen, let's get right into it. And it is films of 2024. Now,
Oh my gosh.
you
I
all
agree.
may thinking like, whoa, like where do these selections come from? Some of these it could be you're way the heck off. Some of them like you're spot on. These are just a few nominations from the crew, but we want to hear your opinion, and chat, please dump them in as well, because you could be thinking, what the hell is this movie doing here? Or you could say absolutely. So let's jump right in, folks. What's your top film of 2024?
I'm looking at one that doesn't belong there right now, but we'll get into that in a sec. My choice is Alien Romulus. Out of this group, I enjoyed this the most. I mean, yes, Deadpool, but Alien's in my wheelhouse. That's my vote.
I've only seen 2 of these movies, and out of them both, Deadpool and Wolverine, definitely,
Very
because Dune Part 2, it was very Dooney. So,
I mean, that's a good thing, right? That could be a good thing.
Sure. I love movies with no end. It's great.
Well, there's a part 3 coming. So.
Yeah, that's not the way to end
Yeah.
2 movies in a row. Oh, guess what?
No.
There's another one coming, maybe 2 or 3 years, but
Yeah.
I
I
love
stopped hearing
Beetlejuice.
about it. Did you?
I don't know. It felt like the original had that same kind of energy. I was actually scared when I heard it was going to be, coming out, but it surprised me. I loved it.
I mean,
And
So,
Deadpool with Alien.
I got to say Deadpool and Wolverine. And I think one of the reasons why is this film had so much damn hype that it had to deliver. It could have easily been a disappointment. I mean, I've never seen a film more hype. This is going to be the Marvel savior, blah, blah, blah. And it came in. And look, there's some issues with the plot. And sometimes you get, confused with the timeline. But it was a great popcorn movie. It gave us the cameos.
Yeah.
It rescued the franchise. It was dirt. Like it said, Disney can get dirty. It was
That was the
fun.
big thing.
Yeah,
That the message that movie sent was, all right, Disney, we're going to go this way because DC's doing that, right? DC's going that way, heavy R. James Gunn, doing that. I don't know all of it, but very fun. Yeah, I agree with you. Like as far as like summer blockbuster popcorn movie, very fun. I think that if this movie came out 5 years ago, it would probably been more like one of my top. But like I'm in that Marvel fatigue where it took 10 movies to get to this one, and that's a problem sometimes. And we do that with the Star Wars enough, so it's one of those things like Deadpool Wolverine, great movie, but I mean, it was fun, but I don't know about best of like my top 2024.
I'm just trying to figure out why Rebel Moon isn't on here.
Yeah.
I feel like we're missing something.
It's on the next
I
one.
missed.
This is
both
where the
those.
thermal detonator comes in, by the way.
Yeah.
Take right there. Just, see ya.
Is that what that is? Is that what it is?
The next slide.
Here it's Deadpool
seen out of the best of the best films. It was something that, look, I think we all expected it to be the best film of the year. Seeing it did not disappoint. It was right on point. I was surprised at how well Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on the screen worked well together. So, it was the best film. If I had a surprise film, I'll go over Crooked Smiles. What he's basically saying is that Rebel Ridge is a really good film. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix right now. Really good film. It surprised me. I would say it is like the modern day First Blood on a lower budget, because obviously you don't have like the star power of Sylvester Stallone, but it's a fantastic film if you haven't seen it. It's from the minute it starts to the minute it ends, it's kind of like riveting. So those are my takes.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I've never even heard of it, so I'm definitely gonna have to watch that.
Beverly Hills. I know you guys did a Beverly Hills Cop 4 take on one of your shows. To me personally, I found that so boring. Like, it was so boring. And yes, it hit all the nostalgia beats, but I was like, I lived through the Beverly. It's like, do I need nostalgia beats for Beverly Hills Cop? I mean, where was the story? It was kind of, I did not like it at all. I wish they just didn't do it.
Well, I thought it was better than the last film that they did. And
better than the third one.
It did hit some beats, but then it had its moments. But this was one of the films that I think that we all agreed on through our cast, was that they made a terrible mistake, Paramount, by not releasing that in theaters, because that would have done well.
I will say this
they put it on Netflix.
I will say this too. Timing is everything. Also, like, Beverly Hills Cop 3, it hit a wall from that franchise, but you can't do it 20 years later. And like I said, all they're going to do is just write nostalgia and repeated jokes. Everything was repeated from before, right? So, I think that everything they do is too late, and some of that, I know Beetlejuice was top, but again, I feel like it was maybe just 10 years too late to really sit and just kind of like accept it. That's my take. I think they're trying to rehash a lot of things, but like 20, 30 years down the line and trying to recapture that magic, where we're going in there trying to get a progressive story going. You know what I mean? And not all the times we have to sift through all the nostalgia before we get into the story. So a lot of those times, like, great, I had great fun. It was awesome. I wouldn't put any of those in a bottom list, but I will, it's hard for me. That's me though. These guys know Scott and them know, like, they get tired of me kind of like saying things like that, but I want progressive story. You know what I mean? Like, I want a new story.
It makes sense. And I also think that, Tim Burton's kind of past his prime. God, I hate looking at myself on TV. But I feel like Tim Burton is past his prime. He went from being like kind of this goth superhero movie creator to being the guy who makes everything into what looks like giant clown movies, right? I mean, he started off with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was a comedy, which was fun.
Best
but
movie ever.
I love it. Then we get into Edward Scissorhands, though, and it just starts going down this specific path, and then all of a sudden we're at Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it's like, whoa, that's jarring, and it doesn't fit. But I think it all kind of took a turn whenever he did Planet of the Apes.
No, I agree with that.
He never quite recovered he never quite recovered his mojo after that movie.
It's like Sam Raimi doing Superman or Spider-Man. It's like, don't do that.
I like those.
You know what's interesting is I look at if you want to flash the page back up, Mr. Storm, I was just looking at, like, what happened to the original ideas in Hollywood? Because the way I see it here is like literally Rebel Ridge, which I haven't seen, is the only non-sequel.
It's all 80s back over and over
what
and
the
over.
hell is going on here? Like, and I know we're going to jump into best TV. I think TV has had a better year than film by a long shot. But I'm just so surprised. I mean, not surprised in a sense, but like, hey, kudos to Hollywood, because usually the sequels or the third one are duds, and they definitely did execute a lot of these well. But give us some original stuff, man. Like that's what's lacking. Keep it in the universe, but gives us different characters.
Yeah,
I agree. 100%.
I wish they would have named Alien Romulus something else. Because I think it would have gotten more hype if it was something else.
Now, with the Alien, just real fast, what they need to do is just cut the BS in between and get these aliens to Earth and have them destroy Earth and move on. Because like every movie they're gonna come out is gonna be like this little side story with the alien killing everybody and a little side story of alien killing everybody. But it's like
they're doing that, aren't they? Isn't there a TV show coming out? Yeah.
But it's funny because it's a prequel. In the timeline, it's a prequel.
What?
Yeah. So again,
the TV series is going to be a prequel.
Yes.
It's all right. Never mind. Don't
so
do it.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be an isolated incident where it's going to be like jarring, but never get out. You know what I mean? And like just Hollywood, get some balls, man. Let's do it. Like let's get some dystopian, Earth going and just.
Hey, Hollywood, this is the guy that said get balls. Okay.
Oh yeah,
He's the guy that said get some. This guy that said get some balls.
Yes, I did. I say it all the time. It's just my mantra every day.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a unanimous vote here, but clearly there's a few here that everyone's kind of aligned on. They were good flicks. Is there anything here before we move on to the worst? Because we definitely got to snap some of these films off, get them hell out of here. Is there one that in your minds like isn't here? We should definitely just mention.
Geez, on movie wise, I don't think so. I think this is it. I think this is our team for movies because, like you said, TV is different, and movies really just kind of had a handful of cool things to do.
And the true best film of 2024 doesn't come out until the 13th. So, Craven is going to take it all.
If you say Craven, we are blacklisting you from the podcast.
He meant War of the Royal Heron. That's what he meant. That's coming on the 13th.
There it is. So. Yeah.
Craven's taking everything home. You just wait and see.
You knocked that off.
There was Fall Guy, which if you haven't seen it, it was actually a fun movie.
Fun, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I know you hated it because it was nothing like the
thought
show.
It was a piece of crap. Worst films that I've seen. I was like, if you're gonna do a remake, at least get the tone of the actual remake right. And for some strange reason, whenever they do that as a TV show, it's not the TV show. And it's like, that's why we went to the theater to see it, because it was the TV show. So if they did like a Knight Rider and they put a comedian in it, it would be crap or something,
Yeah. Well, another rehash, running out of ideas. Let's remake it, which gets us to now the nomination for worst films of 2024. Folks, there were some duds. Wow. There were some bombs here, folks. And let's talk about them. Let's talk about them.
I wonder who put the Fall Guy on this list.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just honestly say I did not see any of those movies because none of them appealed to me whatsoever via trailer, poster, anything. You're gonna remake one of my favorite movies of all time, The Crow, and you're gonna make it look like that. No, I'll pass. Number one, there was no need to remake that movie in the first place.
Correct.
Every sequel has failed. They just need to let it go, and it doesn't bode well for the future. Whenever we've got like Highlander coming, right? They're remaking Highlander. I like the actor, but you're remaking again one of the greatest movies of my youth. And,
I mean, Highlander, it's in the title. I mean, there can only be one, so I don't know why they just keep making them.
I know, right?
Can't just keep making Highlander films.
They shouldn't even.
He got the quickening, man. He won. The series was pretty good, but yeah.
I didn't see them all. Borderlands was terrible.
Borderlands.
Just the trailer alone was just horrific.
Meeks, I'm with you, dude. Like, I want to see video game. Like, if anything's going to be, I'm all against remakes and reboots, right? But video game adaptations really needs a real hard look, right?
Oh yeah.
When I heard Borderlands was going to be a thing, I was like, all right, cool. But then, it just,
the trailer did not sit with me at all. It was one of those like, I wanted my money back before that even came out.
Like,
I didn't even buy a ticket, and I want my money back.
I want your money back. And it was like,
so you guys owe me money for playing this trailer.
Let's cut to the chase. What are we talking about here? Rebel Moon.
Done.
Good Lord.
No,
Good
it wasn't
Lord.
worse than Joker. I actually
Really?
sat through Joker.
I would
It
agree with that.
Hold on.
I would agree with
hold
that.
on.
Is that
Hold
bad?
on. Joker. See, here's the thing, though. Like, at least Joker gave you advance warning, right? Like,
No.
we
Well,
already heard
it had
rumblings.
every
But Rebel Moon
advantage.
was supposed to be like, this was his creative vision.
Yeah,
and
but
this was gonna be his
the
epic
reason no.
universe.
The reason why Joker is worse is because that stupid shit was in the theater.
Yeah.
It's just worse based on that shit. Like
I had
Rebel
to
Moon
find
did.
parking.
Yeah, I had to drive. I had to find parking. I had to go in and show my face.
Just
buying
couldn't
the
turn it
ticket
off
for
like
the
Rebel
stupid
Moon,
thing.
right? You just
Yeah,
walk away.
Just walk away.
Yeah,
5
you only
minutes.
got-
You know what?
Yeah, you only got
Yeah.
10 minutes to walk away in the theater. and
I
you don't
think
get
you're
money.
I think you're giving Rebel Moon too much credit here. I
No,
mean,
watch them both. Go. Okay, you try to go sit through fucking Joker. Okay. Just go try and do it.
versus the two Rebel Moons.
Yeah, because
you
I
better
can
believe
sit through
I'll-
both
I'll-
of them. No, you
I'll-
won't.
Hey, just a bottle of scotch and some popcorn. I'll get through it.
I'll buy you a bottle of scotch if you can sit through Joker. I will
I
buy.
love the-
You, there's this
Well,
app that they
I'll
have
tell you.
called like best time to pee, and it's like you launch it when the movie
Yeah.
starts, right? Well, in Joker, it just says anytime you want, go ahead and go pee. Right? So it's
You
like,
got nothing to lose. Yeah.
yeah, no, you're not. Nah, that's fucking Rebel
I
Moon.
I loved Zack Snyder's victim. You know, he was a victim because
Right.
Disney denied Rebel Moon as his Star Wars entry. You know, they didn't want it, and he's like, "Oh, go make it myself." And if Disney doesn't like me,
Yeah.
and I mean, everybody I've heard of that's seen it thinks it's
Well,
crap.
here's the
so-
thing, right? It's a bold statement to come out and say this is the next Star Wars or this is my Star Wars or what, like what Scott's saying. You know, he got denied, and the reasons why we don't like it isn't because he threw the Star Wars tag on it. It didn't be. It wasn't that. It was like that first one was like a train. I don't know what it was. I don't know what I watched, and it was just kind of like this is weird. You know, he made it way too rapey, way too, like that for to be anything Star Wars. And I know that he probably took liberties and made his own thing, but it was a visual, awesome, eye candy, but it just didn't make any sense. The whole movie made no sense. Like an hour and a half or 2 hours leading up to 5 minutes of it all falling apart. And it was like, we didn't need that. And again, I just want to put out there, it's not because they put a Star Wars, umbrella over it saying this could have been. It's not that, because we hold this dear to us. It's because it was bad.
Well, but he didn't even try and change it a little bit. It's like, oh wait, they still have laser swords. They still have blast. It's like, wait a second,
that would have been
what the hell are you
horrible.
doing? At least just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's complete left field movie to be a Star Wars movie. All of these, I didn't see The Crow, but I don't want to. And that's the whole thing. I'll sit through Rebel Moon. I'll sit through Joker. I don't want to see Crow because that is, again, it's sacred.
The first 45 minutes of the movie is the love story. There's none of the bad guys or nothing really. It's a bad one. It didn't interest me at all. Not even when they were talking about like redoing it. And I was like, nope, done. I don't care.
I was like, why is Sting in a movie?
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I'm on this unapologetic tour this year about saying that, and I don't care. And even the studios want to blame the audience for not going to the movies. It's like, well, I don't want to watch what you're putting out. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not going to do it, and I'm not sorry for it. So
I'm also tired.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's like they did the same thing with the Joker in the Suicide Squad and all that. Was they made him look like Post Malone. So I mean, why have we got damaged on the Joker's forehead? Why does this crow have all?
They got the character
shit?
completely wrong. Like really,
yeah.
Joker
Just
has
aesthetically looking. They don't
Yeah.
look. They don't look right. You know. Oh well.
And I'll give you that. I thought he say what you want to say about Zack Snyder. He got the title right because the Scar Giver gave scars. It was to the audience, though, or not to anyone else. I think Snyder's problem is he's a little too ambitious with the whole, digital cameras and everything else, but he's not actually focusing on the number one thing you need. It's the story, because Rebel Moon's nothing more than Seven Samurais. It was ripped off completely.
Exactly.
And when you went to the theater, you saw the same exact thing. The Crow is, look, I don't care what anyone says, Brandon Lee, you should have just left it alone.
Yep.
There's certain films that you just, they're perfect when they come out. You don't need any adaptations of it or reboots or anything else like that. They tried that with several films. They tried that with a really bad syndicated show. Just leave that alone. And I think that Borderlands, like Meek said, it was just the trailer killed that entire film. The minute you saw the trailer, you knew this movie was garbage, and the cast was so terrible that they destroyed him. I've never seen such an age gap in a film where you have somebody that's damn near close to 70, and then the people in their 40s, and then someone in their 20s. Like, none of it made any sense. Yeah. So, and Fall Guy, again, Dr. Brantley, I don't care what you say about it. It was garbage. It is not Lee Majors. They didn't even get the truck right. Like I said, it's just garbage.
Fall Guy was good.
That's my take. Look, so I will say now, moving forward, and I'm not counting animated flicks. If you want a disastrous box office, you put Kevin Hart or Dwayne Johnson in the film now, because both of those are tanking films.
I'm over them. I'm over them. Yeah,
that duo is people are. That's it. It's over. It's over. The duo is over. Before we move on to the best TV. I just want to say one last thing about these films. Nobody even mentioned Megapolis, rightfully so. And so that one.
I thought that was just like placeholder text.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
It was an AI generated
Lorem
movie.
Ipsum, whatever that is.
I heard the people that saw it didn't understand what was happening. So I'm looking at the poster right there. I don't understand what's happening. So
that's Coppola, right? Francis Ford Coppola did that.
Yeah, it is.
And he made you go buy wine to make all his money back.
Yeah.
You know what they should do is they should just do this film over, but just make Adam Driver do Kylo Ren and just film it again and just see if it's any better behind the mask.
No.
But yeah, it's Adam Driver's making some bombs too, which is not good. He has not had a good film lineup for the past several years. Okay,
he can come back as the Force Ghost in the new Star Wars movie.
Please no,
stop it.
He'll have his good boy sweater on. It'll be great.
I mean, he was one of the few good things in those sequel movies. Okay, but I don't ever want to see him again. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm great.
All right, gentlemen, it is now for the time for the nominations for Best TV. And we said there's a good TV better than film. Did we? There's most disappointing. I don't know. We missed that.
There's one last one. Max, most disappointing films of the year. Abigail, Dr. Brenton, and I both thought that this movie probably was going to be. It's a better film than what it did. It just people did not go into the box office to see it, so I was extremely disappointed by that box office. Then to call something a Mad Max saga and Mad Max is not in it. Like, what were you thinking? This one made no sense. And like Mel Gibson is still going around. If you want to do an old Mad Max, people would flock to the theater to see that one, man. So that I think they dropped the ball on both of these films, man.
That and a King Conan movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. People would go see that in the theater.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's happening, right? Sure.
I don't know.
I thought it was, but
I mean, just take the sword out of Jason Momoa's hands, please, and give it to the true king.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So did
I wish I could.
99% of the box office.
Again, I ignore reboots and remakes. I hate them.
I watched it. It sucks.
It did. All right, so we're going on to the best TV show.
Oh, this is hard, man.
Okay.
I haven't seen The Penguin, but I heard amazing things about it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm 3 episodes in, and I freaking loved it. I thought so far.
I'm going with Penguin just off of that. Well, I haven't heard one single bad thing about it.
That group right there, X-Men 97 really shocked me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
But Penguin is hands down probably the best television that I've seen in a long time. And we talk about this all the time on Sarlacc too. It's, when we go on our tangents about DC, how we're DC fans more than Marvel fans, over there. And we want to see DC, hoisted up because their movies sucked, right? Like through year, I mean, everything. The only thing they had for them was their animated series.
Yeah.
But this type, I know it's not going to be a continuation. I don't think they're going to make a universe around this, kinda. But this is how you do it, and I loved every second of Penguin, like every second of it. X-Men 97, there was about 1 or 2 episodes I could have done without, but Penguin, this by far made me forget everything else that happened this year on television. Really, besides Star Wars.
You made a good point. The Penguin is the best. Yeah. You made a good point though. DC animation was top notch. Now X-Men 97 kicks it up. Well, Jake, my friend that worked in DC, he's the executive producer of X-Men 97. So he brought some of those fight scenes that he could choreograph into that show, and that's what really elevated it for me. But the Penguin is incredible. Yeah, it really
it's time
is.
for DC to get some spotlight. Like
I disagree with some of what you say though, because
I know you do.
I am still a DC purist, and I'm sorry guys, I might say fuck every 5 seconds, but my superheroes and my villains in DC Comics don't, because it's DC Comics.
Well, they might not say that, but DC Comics for a long time have been very adult and not as cartoony.
Dude,
as
I've been
Marvel.
reading DC Comics nonstop since 1984.
Yeah, so
I know this.
Yeah,
but they're not dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds.
They're not, but again, they're more adult, and I think this kind of brings that to that level. Now it's and it's working. To me, it works. I'm like, go for it. All right, get him off the show. Get him off.
This thing I love is the Sarlacc on Sarlacc hate.
It's all
right here.
It's all no
hate.
I think for me, like Shogun was really great, but obviously being a comic nerd, Penguin for me, we've talked about this in casts previously, but we always said if you want to build a villain right to then be plugged into a franchise, devote a mini series of 6 and 8 episode, develop the character, and then when the film hits, which it will, the new Batman's coming out, Pattinson, like there may be more meaning to this, and so they've developed Penguin. Yeah. Everyone's got this emotional connection to like, oh wow, I like him, I don't like him, I love the ending, no spoilers, but just you're like, I really like him, and they're like, oh, okay, never mind. Like, so this is such a villain. Just a great series. But X-Men 97, holy shit! Like I thought they were gonna ruin this. You put on Disney Plus your X-Men 97, you're saying, oh my god, animation, story, man, I'm seeing X-Men stuff in malls for kids. Like, not to say they weren't popular, but this has just brought a new audience to them, because it's been a while since the movies, and I know Jackman and all that, but man, it's brought a new set of eyes. So I love it. And then look, Fallout was freaking great too, man. I mean, talk about another villain, but I got to go with Penguin, and then X-Men 97 is super close, but Shogun and Fallout definitely need to be on this list too.
Yeah, 100%.
Is there any reason why they couldn't put Pattinson's Batman in this new James Gunn universe? I mean, they're starting fresh. There's no reason why it couldn't be integrated in there.
James Gunn doesn't know like his best friend, so he's like, nah. You might have done well as Batman, but just like Henry Cavill, I don't give a shit. So you're out.
I just watched that Creature Commandos yesterday, and I'm like, that's so boring.
There you go.
Oh, was it?
I know. Chris loved it. And I just was like, I almost fell asleep.
Yeah, Chris was just like, oh my god, animated people having sex. Oh my god. And I'm like, okay.
Not really, but it's just boring.
I know.
Heavy metal.
I know Dr. Brantley mentioned this in our text chain, and I know it's only 2 episodes in, and maybe we talk about this on your cast, the dual cast. Stay tuned. We're going to flip over to Sarlacc Digest.
Yes.
Holy shnikes, the new Star Wars TV show.
Yeah.
My wife and I looked at each other after episode 2, and we couldn't believe that. I'm like, this is like Spielberg-esque. Yeah. This is like Lucas-esque. Like, so I don't want to get into all the details, but I'm saying this could be a potential best TV.
Absolutely. It's a surprise for us too. Like one of those things where, wow, I like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody does it, and hasn't done that since they introduced Grogu back into Mando, where it was like this world phenomenon. Now you got everybody talking about Skeletor and how it made them feel. Not necessarily. I mean, the show did its great job, but it's like the people are walking away going like, all right, I like this. I like this again, you know, and we haven't had that in a long time.
Can we also talk about Mr. Storm and I were talking about how it's the first time in a while that I think they've released a figure to go with a show that's actually relevant. And they made a great figure, by the way. Not just like any figure, but like they made a figure that's just like, oh, so you're just going to give me a figure for something that's actually out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I get to pre-order a Wookiee Jedi that no one cares about.
But if you told me without what, like you said, if you Spielberg and Lucas co-directed this TV series, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
Like, just the spots, the cinematography, like all these things, the kids, the charm. I was like the action sequences. I mean, they have nailed
how the
this.
music goes with the emotion, just like the movie in Goonies and stuff. And when they can nail it, and the creators understand that type of like beats and everything, that's when you got a hit. And for those of the collectors, SM33 was announced. They are making that droid, so Hasbro is making him.
That's the coolest.
Yeah,
man, that droid is so rad.
I bought Neil today. I had to.
Oh yeah, Neil is going as a whirlwind. People are drawn. I feel like it's crazy.
He's the best character. That's why.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty awesome.
I haven't even watched it yet.
Look, it made Star Wars fun again.
Yeah,
you know, which had been missing for a long time.
Yeah,
it's it happened when the Mandalorian, right? The Mandalorian debuted, and it was like, oh my god, this is incredible.
Breath of fresh air, kind of like
same feel. You know, it's that same refreshing bit of like it's a new world. You know,
well,
can't wait.
Team Favreau does it again.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah. Well, it is time to go to the worst TV shows. I don't know if we have any other honorable mentions here. We go right to the worst.
Well, you know what? Actually, Fallout was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and it was surprisingly good. And Amazon has had a streak of doing these shows, and I thought like, okay, is it going to be like anything else we've seen? It didn't match up well. It's a really good show. It's interesting and a lot of great actors. I was surprised at how well that show was.
Yeah, I would put. I don't know what's on the next slide. I haven't seen it, but I would have put. And I hope it's not. I hope it's not on there. I hope Rings of Power 2 is not on the worst though, because Rings of Power it was good.
It has the Getting Evil stamp,
but not the not the top.
No, I agree. I like Penguin over that. Yeah. I agree. Yes. It's funny though, because we can split Acolyte down the middle, and there are some best of and worst of moments. And and again, I'm gonna tease that because we will definitely get into that. Why I would say that. How dare I say Acolyte had some good stuff.
It did.
The Acolytes. I gotta stay tuned for that. I want to hear. I'd love to hear the good stuff.
I couldn't be bothered to watch Echo. I had zero interest in watching Echo.
I'm same. I don't.
Well, you
just like Madam Web. I don't care.
Yeah, you didn't.
Madam Web. Yeah. Agatha all along. Don't care. I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, I think with Echo, the first episode has a moment in it. And Daredevil shows up, and that's the best part of the entire series. And this was one of those Disney series that was a mess, kind of like the way Born Again was going to be, and yet they actually went back and changed that, thank God. But Echo, they just decided to put this out, and this did not do justice to the character. It did not do justice to Disney Plus or any of the scenes. I think this was one of those shows where just the tone and the entire environment of these secondary characters, you don't need to make these shows. It just, maybe you could devote an episode, a backdoor pilot to it, maybe, but you don't need a whole series for these characters.
And that's the problem, because we just talked about the Penguin. Like when we say like devote a series to a villain to plug into a franchise, what we're talking about is some known villain or a known side character, not these like totally in the outskirts. If you never picked up comic books, who the hell would know who Echo is, right?
Yeah.
So like Marvel had the opportunity to like make a Kingpin series. Like, why not do what they just did with Penguin? You could have easily done. And then guess what? The Daredevil movie series means even more. Then you're tying in Punisher to that. And then Kingpin becomes your Thanos of the underworld.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a great job with him already in the series. But like Echo, like what this fringe character that nobody knows. And Agatha all alone, just because, the Scarlet Witch and Vision and that, that show did fairly well. Did anybody said I want an Agatha series?
Just because she was good in that doesn't mean I want the whole thing.
Yeah. Where was the Reddit forum that said we want an Agatha series? Yeah. Like, who did they listen to?
No, it wasn't a bad show.
Let's do that. It wasn't bad. No, it was good. I
watched
it.
But it's like, you're right. Nobody was like, hey, I really wanted to get another Agatha.
Yeah, you got a good point about it. But why? That sums it up.
That would have been Kingpin. That would have been a totally different story.
Exactly. Then you would have DC and Marvel going head to head with underworld, villains like that, and that could have been Marvel's answer to DC's what HBO's doing, right? So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Nobody wants an Agatha toy, by the way. Nobody.
No.
Oh my God! Please don't.
Hasbro's not announcing Agatha. Nothing.
I hope that factory melts down if they start doing that. Nobody wants that.
So I know we're gonna in just a couple more minutes as we conclude hour one of this dual cast podcast between the Sarlacc Digest of Star Wars. If you're not following, if you're not listening, you're not subscribed, please do so now as we jump over there. Pixels Plastic Ink. We're here every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time on the Shadows Nose Network. If you think about 2024, gentlemen, and we think about the best. Anything else that you think about, any like great performances or anything that stands out as we talked about the movies and the TV? Anybody it's like, holy shit, man, I wasn't expecting this, or this guy rocked or this girl rocked, like any surprises for you all this year?
Well, I mean, I just, again, I'm going back to Rings of Power.
That's not a surprise. That's
Sauron.
No one is surprised.
The guy who played Sauron was so good.
You just think
beyond
he's cute.
Good.
You just think he's sexy. So
I texted you that in private, dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The opening of Rings of Power is fantastic. Like the first 10 minutes of season 2. If you don't watch anything else, just watch that, because
if that's on the next slide, I'm gonna be very.
I fell into the burning Rings of Power.
For me, Rings of Power season 1 was good. It wasn't great. I didn't hang on every word, but season 2, until that finale, whenever they created Mordor, and that was epic, right? And for me, season 2 was the surprise, because I didn't go into it expecting to be impressed, but I was actually really impressed with how season 2 went. I was very pleasantly surprised. So that's my answer for surprises. Yeah.
I was surprised how bad the Acolyte was. That was my surprise. So you all have to convince me that there were
I don't
redeeming qualities from that. I was so hyped to like excitement. Let's see, and then maybe I just had way too much hype. Or
no, maybe. I think I know your. I think a lot of the complaints are valid. But what we do is we talk ourselves into a lot of things too. So there's some. I'm curious to say what we say if it kind of changes. I probably won't change your mind, but you might say, all right, maybe.
2024 seemed like the year for really great animated TV, and a lot more animation in the pipeline. Amazon's releasing that what's the series based on video games? Mega Man's the first one. I forget what it's called, but they're doing a series of that.
Secret
Level.
Yeah, but Secret Level. Terminator animated series just came out. X-Men 97. Really? A variety of other things like this Terminator anime style that's getting really great reviews on Netflix. So it feels like, it's a really good day, good year, and future forward thinking for animation. Kudos to obviously Across the Spider-Verse really kicking this off again. And then, as other franchises look into it, Star Wars and Marvel and hopefully DC, we're going to see more of this, but I really appreciate it. And then obviously Lord of the Rings, that's going to be in box office soon. That's fully animated as well.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So it was a really good thing for 2024.
I agree. Keep the momentum going. Like,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We move on to toys. And that's it. Look, there's 2 toy shows on both different networks and everything that actually have gone over this. One, if you haven't watched our Peg Warmers Awards on Toy Box Chronicles, that was this previous Wednesday show. And before then, we did our best of 2024. And over on the Sarlacc Toy Chest on Monday, well, I know they're talking about the best and worst Star Wars stuff on Monday. So we felt like to put it here is robbing you of not watching the original show in a couple of hours worth of watching that. So while over the holidays, you can take in your best on 2 of the best toy shows on the YouTube universe and everything, because we are number 1, 1A, 1B. So
I will say this:
we'll roll over
where Sarlacc Digest, we're Star Wars concentrate, right? We are very focused on that, but we love to talk, and our tangents go on other things, DC, Marvel, whatever. So it's great to have a co-network, right? Or shows that you guys will try to get us into the conversations we want to have on our shows, but we don't get a chance. Same thing with the toys. Like, a lot of us are multiple IP collectors. We go to Toy Box for GI Joes and Transformers and Marvel and all that stuff. So that's why this fits. This is why the network fits with shows. So it's like, we're concentrate, but we love talking everything else. So best of both worlds.
And we got a hell of an Operation Monster Force review by Mr. Scott Solo over there that invaded Toy Box Chronicles. So if you haven't seen that, you'll want to go back and definitely watch that out, because it's probably one of the best kind of invasions the entire year that we had. It was really cool.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell he just jumped in like that.
So
I do that. I
know.
just kind of invade your mind.
We were talking, and that guy just jumps right in. I was like,
So we go on to the last subject of the night, and that is going to be comic books, the best and the worst of the year. And
you lost me on this, because I have been out of the comic book realm for a long time.
Well, that's what your buddies over here at Pixel Plastic are for.
Yeah, because if you're telling me Absolute Batman to pick up, okay, I might do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I understand. I understand that is an axe, but that is the stupidest fucking bat symbol I've ever seen in my life. And people keep just harping on me because I will not back down. That is dumb. It's a rectangle with points.
Yep.
You can make an axe that looks like a bat symbol. That is fucking dumb.
I see.
It's super lazy. Like like you're already changing the whole concept of like Batman and everything else, and it's like, but also like, you hear me out. This could also be called Axeman. You know, it doesn't need to be called Batman. I just think
that's a bat symbol.
Yeah, there you go. I will stand with you, Mr. Solo, on that one.
And if it was sharp, it would hurt.
It's all it's almost distracting. I'm just being honest. It's almost distracting.
It looks stupid.
I'm waiting.
It's not good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for like the next round where they get in and someone cuts it and it goes back to look like Mittens holding boobies. That's what I want. That's the original bat symbol.
I thought it was a censorship bar, to be honest, when I first saw it. I thought it was like there was like something graphic up under there, and it just like censorship.
It's like it's like the artist was inking, and then his cap like fell off, and the ink.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go with it.
You know what?
If you blur your eyes, you can kind of get it. But...
No, I got a lot of shit because on one of Snyder's comics. On one of Snyder's posts, I said the comic is great. It's an entertaining comic. That is a fucking dumb design. It looks like Brantley said, it is distracting. It's so stupid. It's just anyway. Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't even know about it until I saw it today. So I was like, because again, I have been out of the comic book stores because where we live, we're kind of deprived. We don't really have a source. So a lot of it falls off the the app. I can do the app, but I don't want to read on my phone.
But we can't for Skybound. I want to read those G.I. Joe comics, even though I think Larry Hama should have retired about 5 years ago. I would like to read the new Larry Hama Skybound comics, but it's just I don't know, man. It's number one, it's hard for us to get, and number two, Larry Hama's his stories are just kind of they're very
80s. very,
but not
very
in a good way.
not. Yeah, no, not in a good, like,
No.
like they're very like. Hold on these for a second. Let's let someone else try 80s.
Yeah. I mean, I carry GI Joe comics with me pretty much everywhere I go. They are right here at all times, and I live and breathe by these things. What he's done in the last 5-10 years has not been. It has not lived up to that standard.
Again, you can't repeat what made it. Like what the foundations were. A lot of times, you just let that float in the ether and do something new. If like a Larry Hama came up with like a brand new concept, maybe that would work better. But it's a lot of people don't have that in them. I'm not talking bad about him, just saying the concept of like trying to repeat a success, trying to repeat something that was worldly accepted. Like Scott mentioned about Tim Burton, it's like sometimes you just know when to not do this anymore. As far as your what made you famous doesn't always keep you famous. You know what I mean? So,
and to Crooked Smile's point right there, that the Skybound GI Joe are actually pretty good. Are you talking about the other Skybound comics? Or are you talking about Larry Hama's? I want to read them, but we don't have a comic book store up here to get our comics. So it's I can't read. I can't attest to that. I just can attest to what led up to GI Joe number 300, which was not good.
Well, I've read everything after, because I did not read it up to 300. I read everything afterward. It was really good. I know it has one of Chet's favorite artists, and it's fantastic. And he picks up where Larry kind of hasn't done, and then also you have the Andy Kubert covers that are amazing. And so it's getting back to some classic GI Joe, but I understand exactly too. There are certain terms and definitions that he's running that are like, sometimes they sound very late 70s, 80s, just when he's talking about the military, and it's like his knowledge is from them because he's an older gentleman. But
he was a Vietnam vet.
One of the better, he's one of the better writers of that series. He knows the characters. This is a very interesting take. If you haven't read it after 300, it's worth the read. And Absolute Batman, DC is claiming that this thing sold 400,000 copies. It has not sold for it. It's close to 400, but it has not sold 400,000 copies. So, but that's still pretty good for a Batman book.
To answer your question, the artist is Chris Mooneyham. He did 5 Ghosts. He was an indie. He did more on the Image side, but it's if you. I was telling Storm, if you like GI Joe, he reimagines it with amazing fucking art. Like, I mean, his stuff, like you could take all of the words out and it would still tell the story. It's really good. So you got to, if you can, you got to pick that up, or we can pick it up and deliver it, or whatever we need to do. It's great.
I've read GI Joe comics since 1982, so I only stopped because we lost our comic shop, and I've even through the bad times, I continued to read Larry's comics, and just to support the brand, because it's the brand I love. Right next to Star Wars, that's GI Joe's my thing, and I wear it on my skin, man. It's just I love it, but he just needs to retire.
40 years, give someone else a chance.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though, is he was so good at it, so good at doing it, that nobody will give them a chance. Even if they give somebody the title, nobody's willing to give them that chance because they can't. There was a gravitas to his writing, the experience level that he brought in the military to those comics. They were the most violent comics that I read growing up. I was like, this is not my cartoon. This is amazing. And nobody else brings that to those comics. And it's just, I think I gave up really reading it whenever he had Storm Shadow fighting somebody else, and Storm Shadow would call out his moves before he did them, like an old Kung Fu movie. It was like, karate chop, and it would chop. Exactly. Roundhouse kick, and he would do it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You don't have to do that. It was like a bad take on
I'm going to sweep the lake.
Damn, exactly.
Why did I miss?
You warned me. Anyway, I digress.
And from there, we've got the worst comics of the year, and I think all of the panel, because I know you guys, since the Sarlacc guys have lost their ones. We were all big on Blood Hunt. And unfortunately, that was a crap series and a waste of time for the summer. Artwork's fantastic. Jed McKay's writing is crap. And it was one of the worst crossover series I've seen in a long time. And to sit on that, Spawn. Look, Todd McFarlane's coming back to write Spawn. I don't know why. He's the most irrelevant character that still has like 360 issues going. And, he keeps trying to build the Spawn verse that nobody wants. He keeps trying to do the Spawn movie that nobody wants. So, but I'll let you guys discuss the Blood Hunt killings.
Yeah, I tried to get back into comics with Blood Hunt, and I lasted 2 of the main issues and some of the tie-ins. And the main issues seemed like filler issues, and the tie-ins actually seemed like there was more going on to them. In fact, there was stuff I was like, oh, you should explain this before getting into the part that I'm reading now. But, it was just like, and so I just gave up.
Well, I think we're almost out of time here because we need to jump to the Sarlacc Digest channel. I think overarching theme is that Blood Hunt, this overhyped comic book machine, did not do justice in the stores. Last thoughts, gentlemen, before we switch gears and head on over warp speed to the second channel.
Warp speed.
Wow.
What?
You didn't like that? You didn't like that?
Did not.
You didn't like that? I love it. Dr. Brantley appreciapted it.
Of course he did.
I like Star
You
Trek.
all live long and prosper.
I just.
All right.
No,
well,
but again, Spawn. Who? That was so high school. We're done with it. Next, there was a lot of good stuff. Than there were. I think that it was kind of more good stuff than bad stuff this year, which is appreciated. Let's keep the momentum. Hashtag stop all reboots and remakes. That's my thing.
Oh, please.
100%. Before we adjourn, just a reminder, we have something special happening this weekend, don't we, Mr. Storm?
Yes, sir. Right quick. We're going to do this as quickly as possible. We have myself and Chet, and also Richard's going to be from our new channel member. KS Collectibles. He will be vending at the SoCal Joe show, and that's going to be this Sunday. And they've got some great exclusive items, some great things, but we'll talk about that on the other show because I'm looking at the time. So
No problem.
I knew we were going to run long, but but
Amazing.
myself and Chet will be there.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hour 1. Stay tuned. Hour number 2 on the Sarlacc Digest on YouTube. We will see you there in just a few.
Toys versus gamers.
I'm here with the man, the owner.
Tony at Toys versus Game. Versus
games. Oh.